What's going on, everybody? It's Kellen Nitro for Nitro Maniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited coming at you with another Nitro's Take Live today, and fingers crossed for tomorrow as well, too, as tomorrow we'll be talking about WWE Extreme Rules. But today, it's all about what's on my shirt here, the AEW, the big week for AEW with the Grand Slam shows with Dynamite and Rampage and so on and so forth. And I'd like to bring in our special guest contributor this week, the one and the only Mr. TL joining us again. How are you doing, sir? Welcome to the show.
Much better. I'm doing well. Too sweet.
I can't find where the camera is on this phone. There we go. So it is doing awesome. You can also get interactive with us too. Comments on YouTube and on Facebook. Just put them in the comments box. They'll pop up. We'll do the thing. We got graphics and stuff now, so you know, it's pretty high-tech-ish. You can put it that way. So, before we get started with the big stuff, I want to talk about a huge piece of news that AEW did over the past week that, well, basically really emanated in this part of the country for sure. Us being in Alberta, Canada, we are huge fans of the Hearts. The Hearts are like a first family of wrestling out here. And OwenHart is all elite. TL, your thoughts of the whole agreement with the OwenHart Foundation? We're going to get a tournament at some point, either later this year or probably early next year, the way the calendar's starting to shape up and that stuff, where the winner will be the first ever Owen Cup winner. So
the Owen Cup is a great idea. I'm happy that he finally gets to be celebrated as a wrestler, as for years that was not the case, as Owen's family did not want Owen to make them any money because they feel the WWE is responsible for what happened to him and his untimely death, and I fully understand that. And then when you hear, when I heard the interview between Martha Hart and Jericho, you kind of got the real scale of what was going on. About why Martha really hates WWE and them allegedly countersuing her for breach of contract through Owen. And I'm like, wow, I would never want to work for them or have anything to do with WWE either. So having AEW get, I guess, the rights to Owen Hart is really special. It is really awesome. He is a very influential wrestler. And a lot of people have, you know, they've taken from his style, his moves and everything else. And he's a big piece of why wrestling is the way it is today in terms of the in-ring component. And I'm curious to see what this is all going to look like. Him in the video game, him as an action figure. What do they have access to in the library? What is specifically property of the Owen Hart Foundation? And what's going to be held back in a WWE vault? That's going to be interesting. But I mean, all in all, amazing.
Yeah, we can speculate all day, every day about what will be available for, I guess it would be out of the archives and that stuff for Owen Hart footage to AEW and that stuff. I would think that New Japan stuff would be a given because of the working relationship that they have with New Japan and New Japan World and everything like that. And you can go on that service right now and see matches with Owen with the likes of Liger and Sayama and so on and so forth over in Japan during his stints in the early 90s over with New Japan. The Liger stuff is amazing because you get to see Owen Hart in the infamous Canadian Olympic gear, which is my favorite off-brand variant of Owen, where he basically Kurt Angled himself for about a year. The real Olympic Owen Hart. It's a lot of fun, and the matches with Liger are fantastic. I would also think that they would maybe go to Germany and Europe too, and see if they can get some of the CWF catch stuff from Europe, the Otto Wants stuff, because he was working in Europe at about the same time that he was going to Japan as well. So we might be able to see a bunch of Owen Hart stuff through this agreement that we haven't seen before or hasn't seen the light of day in about 30 years or so, which is going to be very interesting and pretty cool. Him in the video game as an unlockable or whatever, as a legend, that's really cool. You could conceivably have dream matches where you'd have Owen Hart versus, name a light heavyweight off the AEW roster that would work good with him. So, or even a heavy.
My ultimate dream match of all time is a prime Chris Jericho versus an Owen Hart.
There we go. We could have that.
I could finally do that match, or I guess in Jericho in real life, if you ever read his books, his dream was to be Owen Hart's tag team partner so they could win the championships together.
Corazon de Leon versus Owen Hart. That'd be pretty cool. That'd be or Lionheart ECW era Chris Jericho versus Owen Hart. That'd be pretty cool. Yeah. Absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun to play and to check out. Absolutely. The sky's the limit with this deal. So it's pretty cool. And they've already done a deal with Pro Wrestling Tees last year through Dark Side of the Ring where you can start getting some Owen Hart merchandise again and that stuff. And it's a big deal for wrestling fans. So yeah, kudos to AEW for landing that agreement for sure. And another quick bit of business. This news dropped prior to Rampage last night is that Dynamite is moving in January to TBS in the States, and Rampage will be the new TNT show on Fridays. I'm thinking that's just because of the NHL agreement, because Wednesday night's a huge night for the NHL. They want to make it a big night in the States as well. It already is up here. So I think that's just them moving around to basically appease network masters at this point, which is cool. That's fine. I don't think the agreement will change much for TSN. And in fact, it'll probably be better because the CFL won't be on during the winter. So there we go. We'll probably get both shows as they run. We don't have to log in for Friday online on TSN Go or whatever the streaming service is. So
yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're right. I mean, TNT, they're going to be pushing the NHL a lot now that they've taken the rights over from NBC to show the NHL in the States.
Yeah.
I do believe TNT is going to push this and the NBA really hard so they can try to press for eventually maybe a piece of the NFL. So they can show maybe a Thursday game or a Friday game. Yeah. They're really starting to like beef themselves up as a sports television broadcast provider. So yeah, AEW is going to be moved around here and there a bit because of that. So I don't expect this to be the last move. I think it's going to be the first of many for those shows, whether it be a Dynamite or Rampage.
Excellent, for sure. All right, let's start breaking down the cards from Arthur Ashe Stadium, where they drew 21,000, well, close to 21,000 on Wednesday, September 22nd. They taped Rampage, but went live with our first show, which is Wednesday night Dynamite, the Grand Slam from Arthur Ashe Stadium. And like I said, it was the crowd looked great. The building looked amazing. I hope they make that their permanent NYC venue, because that would be kind of cool to see. I thought that it had a little bit of glimpses of like WCW Nitro back in the Georgia Dome type days. And it kind of felt like watching a New Japan card as well. So it was pretty cool to see. I like the venue. So
I like the venue. I hated the stage setup.
Okay.
Just because it's their same stage setup that doesn't work, because you could see the wrestler come through the little O tunnel even before they made it through the O tunnel. I'm just like, that's stupid. Adjust your stage for the setting.
That's one thing, that AEW has done to kind of save costs that I don't necessarily agree with. I like having different themed stages and different themed, I guess, buildings, if you will, for different themed events. And they've just had the same stage since like day one, like not like predating Dynamite, even like the same stage that they had for Double or Nothing, their first pay-per-view back in 2019. So I would love to see AEW kind of invest a little bit more on, kind of making both shows a little different. Give Rampage a different stage than Dynamite. If you want to keep this stage for Dynamite and Dynamite only, go for it. But when you get to pay-per-views, go hog wild. Like, everybody remembers WCW's Halloween Havoc pumpkin now to this day. I mean, like, it's kind of cool, or the Starcade.
The stages in WCW were a bit tacky, so whatever. But I know what you mean. It's having the differences in the stages. It works a lot better. What is the chandelier? I hate that thing. What is the point of the chandelier?
What is the point of the chandelier?
Yeah.
Other than extra LED lights, I have no idea.
It looks stupid. I don't know what it is that makes it look so low rent, but I hate that chandelier. Put a logo or something.
I think it's just a different way for them to kind of attract your attention. That's back in the day when Cody would make his entrance, that chandelier used to come down into the middle of the stage, and then it would separate and it'd be kind of cool, and there'd be smoke and stuff and everything. But now it just kind of just sits there. So yeah, the chandelier is just really weird. So
it's trash. It's where it belongs.
Agreed. Let's get into the first contest, because the first contest is absolutely huge, and it might be up there for television match of the year from what we see. And I'm just trying to find a graphic for it here, because I know I got the graphic. The problem is when I import in the graphics, they always get a little fuddled in the client here. I found it. Here we go. Kenny Omega, the AEW World Champion, versus Bryan Danielson, American Dragon. This is Danielson's first match since night 2 of WrestleMania back in April. I think that was April 13th, if I remember correctly.
I think so.
Yep. And man, this thing went 30 minutes. It was a barn burner. Everything and anything I found that you could want in a pro wrestling contest, you got in this contest. The crowd was into it. They were hot. And, to me, a lot of people were kind of complaining about the result online and that stuff. And it's like, why didn't they go 5 more minutes? Why didn't we get a definitive result? It's a storyline building match. This is the first time encounter on national TV for these guys. I think it's the first time they've touched since 2009 on the indies. So, it's going to be a match like that. For them to rock it for 30 minutes like that, I think that's over and above what we all expected. So just a phenomenal contest from front to back. Meltzer's already given it 5 stars. It's probably shortlisted for television match of the year at this point. I have nothing more to add to it other than, if you haven't seen it, go out of your way and watch it.
Yeah, go out of your way and watch it. I actually had to. I got interrupted halfway through this match for an emergency purpose, but I went back and watched the whole thing again. Mm-hmm. The crowd was hot for this match. Mm-hmm. Right out the gate. You start with these two. This is the main event, and you're opening the show with it. And I love that they did a 30-minute time limit. So they ran out of time, and it finishes in a draw.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, Bryan Danielson's first match.
I always say American Dragon, at least. So there we go. So
yeah. So his first match into the company is against the world champion, and he takes him the full 30 minutes. And on the flip side of that, the AEW champion couldn't beat a guy in 30 minutes who hasn't wrestled since April. So it's like they're really building to something here that's going to be a much bigger match down the line. I really hope it's just going to be another straightforward wrestling classic, and it doesn't turn into like a dumpster garbage match by the time they get to the blow-off.
And it works on so many levels because, exactly as you said, the AEW World Champion couldn't beat a guy who hasn't wrestled since April. And, he's been kind of slipping in matches as of late, but still finding ways to hold on to the belt. He's lost the Impact title already. So his, the legacy of being, quote unquote, ultimate dragoning the title scene right now in North America is kind of a little already starting to, whoa, that's crazy. Hang on. My connection is starting to do some really wacky stuff here. There we go. All right. We're back. That was strange. I had like a John Morrison thing happening with the connection. It was like, whoa,
I thought you were doing the Matt Hardy 2.0 thing where you used to do the stop motion V1.
Yeah. Oh man, that was strange. I've never seen that before with this. We're on a wild ride today with this, so this will be very interesting. But yeah, exactly. This is probably your main event for Full Gear, which is in November, which is the pay-per-view event coming up in November. I think we'll get the return match then. And then there'll be some sort of stipulation there. Maybe must be a winner, maybe 1 hour time limit, maybe no time limit, something like that. I know AEW hasn't done a no time limit match yet. So
Iron Man.
60-minute Iron Man? That'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty awesome. I've heard people suggest a variation of 3 Stages of Hell, but not with any gimmicks or anything like that. First stage maybe is a submission. The first stage is a pinfall, and then you could come up with something for the second thing. Maybe it's like a knockout or something like that. Or maybe the first stage is a knockout and the second one's a submission.
Don't give Kenny Omega the option, because he'll do some stupid shit if it's up to him.
Another exploding Japanese barbed wire death match.
Exactly what I was thinking. He would do something that stupid.
with
The
the
3 seconds explosion match.
yeah.
No.
Which, by the way, when FMW relaunched in July this year, because Onita was at the AEW pay-per-view that had Moxley and Omega and was so kind of ticked off with how that was presented and everything that it made him go back to Japan to restart his promotion that had been dead since 1999. So that's how pissed off he was. So he went back over there, and they did an exploding barbed wire death match with all of the bells and whistles and you name it. The problem was they did it inside a fish market, so that the kind of a glorified grocery store over what we would call over here. And the roof was so low and the building wasn't built obviously to ventilate pyro, that once the first explosion happened, the entire building went fog and you couldn't see anything for the rest of the show. I just recently saw a video of this, everybody. It's like wild. So if you get a chance to watch it, I forget who all was in it, but just Google FMWE main event from July and it'll pop up.
Okay, somebody used to do that in the WWE where their pyro would set off so smoky that the beginning of their match would always be too smoked out for the audience, and I think that would dissipate.
I think that was Van Dam.
Yes, it's somebody like that.
Yeah, it was either Van Dam or Ray, one of the two, but I do remember that.
I think it might have been Goldberg.
It might have been Goldberg too. Yeah, back in 2003.
Like yeah. The pyro used to smoke out the whole audience, and you couldn't see it until the match was done.
See the match at all. Yeah, absolutely.
So let's go back to AEW. None of this Japanese nonsense.
Exactly. Yes. So, yeah. So, anything more you want to add on the Omega Danielson time limit draw to open everything up?
No, I mean, Brian Danielson did a great job in his opening match. He held back a lot, and he still pulled off a lot. So that means there's so much left in the tank and so much more to show the audience. Like, he didn't reveal all the tricks in this show. Mm-hmm. It was really smart on his part. So smart to have it as a draw so they can keep this running. You know me. I don't like Omega. I don't like his style. I don't like his goofiness. I don't like his jittery, herky-jerky, jazz hands style of wrestling. But it got the crowd into it. It is what it is. And I'm ready to go to the next one if you like.
Excellent. Yes. I'm just looking to see where it is. And I'm also got to look and see where it is on the order. So our next contest, after a CM Punk promo where he teased his match coming up on Rampage. So the first 47 minutes of Dynamite were amazing. He had a 30-minute just barn burner, match of year candidate with Danielson and Omega. And then you had CM Punk doing his awesome promo skill work and that stuff for a match with Powerhouse Hobbs coming up on Rampage. And so that was a great contest. And then we get into our second match of the night, which was MJF versus Brian Pillman Jr. This was a matchup that's been building on Dynamite and Rampage over the past few weeks. Basically, when they were down in Cincinnati, they kind of popped this all off with, MJF running down Cincinnati and then Pillman taking exception to it because he was from Cincinnati. And then they built up upon Pillman's family history and everything and so on and so forth. So there you go. There's your build. The match itself going 9 minutes and 20 seconds. MJF with Wardlow defeating Brian Pillman Jr. Via submission. The Salt of the Earth arm breaker with an assist as Pillman was going for Air Pillman, and MJF catches him and puts him in the armbar, I should say, for the submission victory, which I thought was a really cool finish.
Sure.
Yeah, that's basically all I could say that was overtly notable about the match. Was the finish was very interesting, but yeah, it felt like your typical television flair, I guess, for this, but
no, sir.
Okay.
If anybody ever wanted to know what do wrestlers mean when they say green? Green is in unripened, as in not fully in its season yet.
As it needs work. Yeah.
Yeah, it needs more time before it's ripened. Mm-hmm. Brian Pillman Jr. Green. hella green. Like, man, it was almost nerve-wracking watching the match to me, because it's like, this guy is so green. I don't want to see him take a spill. I don't want to see him like mess up too bad, or like just make an ass of himself on TV. And he didn't, to his credit. But he showed he's about as green as a Velveteen Dream. You know what I mean? Like, yikes. That could have been a match for, what's their YouTube show? Dark?
Yeah. Dark or Dark Elevation. It kind of had that vibe to it. And that's
it absolutely did. Now, MJF is a great heel. He got the fans into it. He got the crowd to boo him, even though it's in his territory-ish, I guess. Yeah. But, yeah, man, Brian Pillman Jr. is way too green. He needs way more time. I hope that he gets better and more comfortable with time. But we just saw him at his absolute greenest point in this match.
Pillman is one of those guys that I find that every time I see him, he gets slightly better in the ring, and that is supposed to happen that way. As every time you get in there as a younger athlete, you know, as you work with more experienced athletes, it gets a little bit more and more. Yeah, I think they might have, but you don't know unless you try, right? So that's the thing, is they probably thought that, okay, well, we'll throw this out there and we'll see if it's necessarily going to, you know, connect with everybody or what. And plus, it's in the dead spot. You had like one of the hottest segments of the year for the opening 30 minutes of your show, 35 minutes of the show with that great match, and then you had another great 6 or 7 minutes for Punk, where he's, you know, building up talent, which is what Punk does. So there you go.
You know, and then we talk about that quite enough. That Punk segment is very forgettable. Of all the promos he's ever done, yeah, I'm never going to remember that.
No. Because, and once we get into the match, talking about it on Rampage and that stuff, the match itself, to me, was a passable television match, but it wasn't anything special. But it just, you know, it was kind of an unremarkable program so far, him versus Team Taz going forward.
Well, that's not a program. That's a hot shot, because a program means it's an elongated storyline that goes over a long period of time. This is a one-off.
Yeah. Well, I mean, is it though? Because you still got, like, you look at Team Taz, you got Hook, you got Ricky Starks you could work with already, and you know, and have the you know, potential of, like, it means absolutely nothing, but the FTW title could be on the line or something. But that's
no, he's not here to win titles. He's here to push forward green or young talent. So
okay.
The promo didn't. It was a nice little raw speech, but I'm never going to remember that one. It's not going to go on his list of greatest promos of all time.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you with that. Yeah, definitely.
And then the match that followed was just kind of like, ooh, this motherfucker green. So what was next?
Okay, I have two different windows, so I'm flipping between windows here, folks. So bear with me as I try to find what our next match was. But here we go. So it was this one. It was Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black, and this one ran. Here we go. 11:05 with Malachi Black defeating Cody Rhodes via pinfall. We saw the return of Brandy Rhodes in Cody's corner. First time since having a baby that she's showed up, looking great. So good on her. And starting to tease a little bit of dissension between Arn and Cody on in-match direction and that stuff. A little bit of a spat between head coach and player here, which ended up costing Cody dearly, as I try to look at my notes and see where the finish was. Oh yeah, this was it. So Cody and Arn collided on the apron. There was some dissension, the teasing the dissension, I should say, in the Nightmare Family ranks, and Malachi Black busts out the Black Mist for the first time ever with this character, and that's the 1-2-3. So apparently Malachi Black can go Great Muta at any time.
I guess.
That was he learned Mist. It was quite effective for that one.
I don't like the Mist spot, because the referee now has to like just ignore it. It's like, wait a second, where did you get oil all over your face? Who knows? 1, 2, 3. What the? This stupid plot.
Yeah, it's from the beginning of time, when it was a part of a stereotypical East Asian wrestlers gimmick back in like the 70s and 80s, where it would be the mysterious, they legit call it, this was the verbiage back in the day, Oriental Mist, and it was supposed to be scary because it's not from North America, it's spooky voodoo type stuff. But
all that, I mean, is just it's an illegal move. You're not supposed to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But how does a referee like just completely bypass the fact that someone's got their face covered in ooze?
Yeah, that's
well, that's an unexplainable occurrence. Oh, his shoulders are down. What?
Because I think the psychology goes the other way, though. The ref sees that the shoulders are down, instinctively counts free, and then looks at the fallen opponent and sees that they're covered in mist, and it's like, well, what happened?
It's stupid logic to me. That's so dumb. That being said, with this match, they booed the hell out of Cody Rhodes.
They did, yes.
He's supposed to be like the symbol or the ambassador of AEW, and they booed the hell out of him in this.
Mm-hmm.
You want to explain to me where that came from? I thought he's supposed to be like the guy.
I'm not sure. I think it's something happened on social media earlier in the year that a lot of inside fans that are on social media and that stuff, all of a sudden they turned on Cody. I can't find where that point was, and I'm not sure what it is.
Because the way that the match was set up, it looked like Malachi Black is supposed to be the heel and Cody was supposed to be the face. And the crowd did the complete opposite. Yeah,
exactly. It might also be just the coolness of the Malachi Black character to a lot of fans. Maybe they just think, hey, this guy's cool. So,
Just let's be honest here. Aleister Black is way cooler than Malachi Black. Infinitely cooler. Malachi Black is kind of like the dollar store version.
The Wish version? Wish.com?
Huh? Yeah, Wish, exactly.
Wish.com, yeah.
Exactly. I don't know. It sucks. It's stupid. I don't know.
So, yeah, I mean, like, that's one of the things is you look at it and it's very, man, I don't know where this is going, honestly. I think that this is probably, one would hope, and I've seen a lot of this on Wednesday night, is that they moved on from, whatever creative that this is going, like, give Malachi a different opponent now at this point and give Cody and move that feud on and along. But
the whole thing is that he's supposed to be taking down every member of the Nightmare family.
Yeah.
However, the Nightmare family seems no pull. They have no championships.
Mm-hmm.
They have no influence.
Mm-hmm.
What is the point of going after them? What's
the end? And it harkens back in, exactly. It harkens back to 2019 Full Gear, where Cody lost the AEW title match with Jericho and can't challenge for the AEW title for the rest of his AEW career. That's the catalyst of this whole thing. So they had Cody, be the TNT champion for a while, and then eventually lost that to Brody Lee to help build Dark Order up and that stuff. And then since then, it's been, he's been kind of floundering since. So when he's been on, I mean, when's the, like, maybe that's part of the hatred from the fans. It's like, why are you relevant? Why are you here?
But at the same
other
time,
than running the company, why are you relevant? And why are you here? So,
well, I mean, I guess he's the equivalent of a Triple H, so they booed him. I don't know. I don't think that's fair.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's a real comparison.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Though that was a weird moment.
It takes a while to kind of digest. But Malachi Black on the kind of upward swing there, and that's because I don't think he's lost the match.
Thing. Malachi Black's theme song is shit. I hate that shit. It just sounds like a guy getting kicked in the nuts and screaming.
It's as even a hardcore metalhead like myself, I listen to it and I'm like, it could be better. It could be better.
His NXT character was way better. top to bottom. They got to fix that a little bit. This Malachi Black shit is like when Goldust went to TNA.
By the way, what is Aleister Black and Ricochet one of the most underrated WWE tag teams that they produced over the past decade?
There's a very long list, and that's going to be on there.
Yeah,
I can't say number
just
one.
Popped in my head. So. Yeah, because like there was when I went to New York in 2019, there was a legit feeling from a lot of fans that they were going to walk out of WrestleMania week with 2 sets of tag team title belts because they were going for the NXT tag titles and the Raw tag titles, right? So.
Actually, you know what? To me, off the top of my head, the most wasted tag team they had was AOP.
Yes.
Because they were built like world beaters that nobody could beat them no matter what combo or how many other handicap numbers they were throwing at them. They were monsters.
Yeah.
Then they never really made it to the main roster because they couldn't speak English and they got rid of their manager.
Exactly.
And now they're both released and they do nothing. So that to me was a major waste.
Up next, talking about the stuff from Wednesday night here.
Oh,
yeah. FTR with Tully Blanchard talking about a team that was not given their just due in WWE. FTR versus Sting and Darby Allin. A rare in-ring appearance from Sting. The match itself goes 9 minutes and 25 seconds. And Sting and Darby Allin get the W over Cash Wheeler and Dax Harwood and, in some instance, Tully Blanchard as well. You know, they teased it a little bit, and it again, another really serviceable TV match. And to get a serviceable TV match from Sting at this point in the game, really cool. I thought it was great. The crowd popped for it. They loved it.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd popped for it. That was really cool. You can't expect much out of Sting at this age. I'm happy he doesn't get injured when he does stuff. That's all I can ask for.
That's it. Exactly. You know, and maybe, I don't know if necessarily, like, the match with Seth Rollins that eventually led to Sting basically hanging it up for the second time around here was... probably was legit hurt off of that because they did cut the match short, and that was the night they had that it was like the championship gauntlet that Rollins was running through and that stuff. So they stopped that match and brought Cena out for the Cena Rollins match, I think for like the US title or something like that right after, as like a little quicker. This was like Night of the Champions, I want to say 2015 or so. And so definitely Sting was banged up and hurt, but you know, he has been asked to take bumps in the ring. He's been asked to take finishers, and he does it. And it's awesome. Like, he obviously can't go every week because you'll break him at this point. But, you know, it's almost very reminiscent to when Ric Flair was wrapping up his run in WWE back in 06 and 07 and 08-ish a little bit, where, you know, they were using him a little bit from week to week to week because that's, you know, Ric Flair's a physical freak at that point. But, you know, but they just using it just to build up younger stars and not necessarily, you know, use him for titles, but he's there because he's name value. So.
Honestly, for me, this feels more like that time when Bret Hart came back to the WWE.
Yes.
US title.
Yeah.
But you were scared as shit because he's Bret Hart, and you're like, please don't.
Yeah, he's fragile. Don't break him. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, please, you don't have to do all that. It's It's good, man. It's cool. We love you, Bret. Don't hurt yourself.
Yeah.
That's the same way I feel when I see Sting in the ring. It's that danger of like, please don't get paralyzed for this. It ain't worth it. So. You're right. Match is serviceable. It is what it is. I wish FTR would be treated better wherever they went, but they don't. So, yeah, that's the end of that.
Well, the thing is they got to really flush out this Pinnacle thing, because since they lost to the Inner Circle, Pinnacle has been next to nothing right now on AEW TV.
They don't exist, and Inner Circle doesn't exist.
Yeah, that's another thing too, is that we haven't seen any, like when we talk about the Rampage stuff with Sammy Guevara and everything. The Inner Circle has been kind of just gone at this point.
That's what I'm talking about. They built an entire faction, and this is supposed to have an end, but it ended both factions.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really wild stuff. So, and then we get into the main event on a Wednesday, and that was for the AEW Women's Championship, where Ruby Soho cashes in not really cashes in, but is granted her Casino Battle Royale winning performance, or the result of her winning the Casino Battle Royale, I should say, at All Out versus Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And that match itself goes 13-20, and Britt Baker walks out once again, retaining the Women's Championship.
Yeah. Seeing Ruby Soho in there, it gives me a better idea of where Britt Baker is really at.
Yeah.
Because Ruby was a really good wrestler within the women's revolution that happened in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good test for Britt Baker. She's in the ring. She's not on that level yet.
Mm-hmm.
She's not there. On the microphone, spectacular. In the ring, I don't think she holds up quite yet. But she's still pretty young, I'm guessing, and has a long way to go. And with better talent in the women's division and not wrestling weirdos and freaks and random Japanese girls that we've never heard of, against real competition, she's gonna get better.
Yeah, I think Ruby's late 20s, early 30s. I think Britt is mid 20s. So they're both two pieces that AEW will have for a while, hopefully, and to build up and be better as the years go on. And that's another thing that I want to hit on right away here is the talk on Twitter is the talk about them adding a TBS championship in the women's division as kind of a secondary title going forward. And I'm with you. I'm thinking it's the point right now where you barely have a division that can hold up your women's division right now. It's very more missed than hit a lot of times. Unless you found, just this hidden stock of women's talent somewhere that you could bring in with some name value or something. It's not like, I wouldn't do it right now. I wouldn't roll that belt out at all.
Hell no. Mm-hmm. In the style of Joe Budden, no.
I'd give it a year. What I do is, it's a great idea, but I put that idea on ice for a year and see where you're at come September of 2022, and revisit it at that point.
Well, hopefully they can pick up enough of the WWE girls that fall to the wayside because of their stupid decisions that they can build a better women's division. Because what they have right now is paper thin, and who they do have are hella green. They look like they should be in developmental. Yeah,
exactly. And we'll talk about that when we get into Rampage here, which is right now. So jumping from Dynamite to Rampage, this was on a Friday night, September 24th. It was taped on the 22nd, but, is it live? Is it Memorex? Nobody really cares on a Friday night. You're just watching wrestling.
But it showed because that crowd was tired.
Yeah, they were. That's a
Rampage where they kick it off with CM Punk versus Hobbs.
Yes.
You may show the graphic.
Exactly. Hang on a second. It's coming. What had to happen is I clicked on the wrong thing and it brought up a feed that was going in the background. It threw me off.
I tried to throw to a picture and it didn't work, but them's the breaks.
No, it's coming. There we go. Boom.
Hey!
Powerhouse Hobbs versus CM Punk was your opening contest here, and it was a real contest. 13:35, where CM Punk defeats Powerhouse Hobbs. And what was the finish for that? I got that written down here somewhere. It was
GTS.
Yeah, the GTS out of nowhere. But the thing is that he fought earlier in the match for the GTS on Hobbs, and Hobbs powered out of it because he big, powerful wrestler, right? This felt to me like a match that Punk would have had on Monday Night Raw back in 2012 or 2013, where they put him in the ring with a big greenish dude, and he makes the best of it anyway. About the only real flub in the match was the Hurricane Rana spot on the corner. I don't know if you saw that or not, where Hobbs basically went straight down on his neck. So that was kind of a scary deal. By all reports from what I've seen online since and that stuff, Hobbs is good to go. So he's lucky there for next week. He
did not rotate hard enough out of that move, and he dropped on his head. But he's all right. Literally, as you put it, we've seen this before. This is basically CM Punk versus Big E Langston.
Yes, it is.
Except Big E Langston did a better job. However,
Big E's a better athlete. That's why.
That's to be determined. We don't know how Hobbs really is yet. He's not fully there.
That's a good point. Yes. Yeah. I shouldn't
That being
say
said,
that.
this would have been a good match anywhere except the opening match for Rampage. The crowd is dead ass tired.
No, it is. It is.
And you can tell, like, the crowd didn't pop as hard for CM Punk. They weren't as into this match. They'd seen a lot already. And it showed. Because this match could have been a main event on just about anything.
Should they have
that crowd impact?
Yeah.
You didn't feel it.
Should they have split the nights then and just did Dynamite and some dark stuff on Wednesday and then more dark stuff and then Rampage on Friday? Then that way you get two fresh crowds coming in for 3 hours at a time, with the exception, instead of trying to sit for 5 or 6 hours at a time. Because that's kind of WWE-esque, the way that taping was done.
No, what I would have done was make Dynamite like a special live TV event, much like an NXT takeover.
Yeah.
And run it almost like a pay-per-view that you show on TV.
Mm-hmm.
And then have your aftermath happen at Rampage somewhere else.
Okay.
So you could have done a 3-hour TV show like an NXT takeover.
Mm-hmm.
And then go to whatever building's next.
Mm-hmm.
So you have one big night, condense it down into a more concise show that would have been like, wow, we saw some.
Exactly.
And then have your aftermath on Rampage.
There we go. So, other than that, Punk back to the short tights too. Notice that?
Yes. And I can notice the 2 knee tattoos that he had on there.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's why he wore the pants, because that was like a fresh tattoo or something.
Oh, maybe, yeah. Or his first match back, he wanted to be special. Who knows? I don't know. They do that sometimes. People will do that.
Yeah, well, point is, I actually thought it was a pretty good match. It just deserved a little bit better, but the crowd was tired.
They were tired, yeah. It kind of showed and that stuff. And it felt like him working maybe like a Ryback or a Del Rio or something like that back in 2012 or 2013 or so. I got flashbacks to that. But, hey, Punk, the Punk pulled it out and had a really, Hobbs, I think it's there. I think there'll be something with him. It's just like we had mentioned earlier and that stuff. Is this a short-term one-match thing, or is this a program that they're going to have? Who knows?
I do.
Yeah. I thought you were doing the RVD thing. I was like, nope. Why would you have Punk versus RVD? Why?
Yes, it'll be short-term. No, it'll not be a program, and I know.
There you go. Exactly. Full show. All right. Well, this show had a lot of multiple man tags in it.
Too much.
Which tells me that this was an excuse to get people booked on the show. So the first of which was Adam Cole and the Young Bucks reuniting as the PWG Trios champion Super Click from back in the early 2010s, taking on Christian Cage and the Jurassic Express. And this match itself ran 14:35, 14 minutes and 35 seconds. And the Super Click beat Christian Cage and Jurassic Express, basically continuing the storyline that the Elite is the heel faction and Christian and Jurassic Express are this fringe of faces that are battling the heels right now. So
the crowd barely popped for this. They did chant and sing for Jungle Boy's theme song.
Yes.
Tarzan Boy. So that was an excuse to do that.
Again, it felt like something that should have been on Dark.
Yes, this was just an overbooked piece. All of Rampage was overbooked. You're right. They just tried to stuff everybody onto the show. Didn't need to do it.
Yep. Yeah. No.
And this match is completely forgettable. I hate that they're named the Super Click. That is so lazy. That's so fucking lazy.
I like the pun, but other than that, that's about it.
The pun?
The pun, yeah.
What pun?
Super Click?
How is that a pun?
Well, instead of Super Kick, it's Super Click. I told you. I love the pun. It's great. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. TL just had a live aneurysm on stream.
The original Click is Nash.
Yes.
Hall. 1, 2, 3 Kid.
Yes.
HBK and Triple H. But the Super Click.
Yes.
Is Adam Cole, baby.
Baby, yeah.
And the Young Bucks? Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of here. The Super Click is smaller than X-Pac?
Well,
fuck out of here.
Well, remember that, a lot of the PWG stuff from the early 2010s were basically their bread and butter was trolling the wrestling industry by just these inside jokes and that stuff. That's what made them hot. was
this
wrestling and just trolling the industry.
PWG. Let me say that again.
There's a lot of those guys on there.
PWG in a damn community hall for 75 people and Excalibur on the microphone. Yeah, with a mask on for some reason. This is national TV. This is New York City in Arthur Ashe Stadium, the Grand Slam event for the U.S. Open.
Yes.
Enough with the childish, independent bullshit. I'm sick of that. Super Click my ass. That's your rant for today.
The only thing that's redeemable out of this is that we might get a Adam Cole versus Jungle Boy singles feud out of this. They kind of teased it a little bit, so that could be fun. It'll be an undercard match for Full Gear if it does happen. So
that's all it should have been. This didn't need to be a 3-on-3. That could have been the match and then had run-ins. That would have been so much more concise.
I can feel you. Yeah. I can feel that. I can get down with that. That'd be cool. Yep, absolutely.
I hate the Young Bucks. I hate what they do. I hate what they stand for. I hate everything about them. Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, because the next one is a multi-man situation, but it's very interesting with the combatants involved. It is, if I can find the graphic, because I know that I have the graphic somewhere here. At least I thought I did. Did I? Or did I not? I don't think I did. Oh, no. I'll have to talk about it. So we had Chris Jericho and Jake Hager. Just imagine there's a matchup graphic up there. Taking on the American Top Team, now affiliated Men of the Year of Scorpio Sky. And I just saw everything slow down on stream, so I'm just waiting for it to catch up. Scorpio Sky and All Ego Ethan Page. And that match itself went... Where's the runtime for that one? 11 minutes, with the Men of the Year defeating Chris Jericho and Jake Hager with a kind of a roll-up in the center of the ring. So a very WWE-esque, sports entertainment-esque way of ending the actual match itself.
Yeah,
but it was the aftermath that everybody's talking about today. This was the talk about takeaway moment of the entire show, is the entirety of the MMA American Top Team coming out, basically putting the boots to Hager and Jericho. And I got to get the name correct here, so I got the pronunciation down on the notes. So it is, Jorge Masvidal with the running knee, the New Japan style knee to Chris Jericho. I was like, man, dude could work. Holy.
That wasn't New Japan style. He did a Mario leap and he threw his knee right into Jericho.
That still works. Brian does the same thing from time to time. So
he also kind of crashed and burned on the ground, so it looked a little funny.
That's it. But look at the people that showed up at the end of this match. This is that Lambert had roll out. I mean, like you had we talked about Andre Arlovsky before on the streams.
You got Andre Arlovsky. You got Junior DeSantos.
Yeah.
You got Paige Van Zandt,
which is huge. That's massive. That she's involved with this. Yeah,
she's more beauty than brute, but whatever.
But she has a huge fan base, and if they see her involved with AEW, her fans are coming over to AEW.
She did throw some full knuckle shots into the body of Jericho.
Yes,
right before Masvidal ran and did that fluttering knee.
I like the knee myself, but
somebody else was there too. There's two others, but they're all all MMA guys, former UFC, some of them.
Yep.
And I don't know where they're going with this.
Well, I think they're going with some sort of UFC versus AEW spin with this. Like maybe something with the pay-per-view coming up in November. Maybe you get two of them trained up, ready to go against maybe Hagar and Jericho in a match.
I don't care.
It's going to be the crossover attention getter. So,
but what's the crossover here? Like of
the MMA fans, the UFC public, the fans that would know these athletes, watching them and seeing, oh, this is kind of cool. Oh, they're fighting Chris Jericho. Okay, I remember him from a kid. So
TNT doesn't have any association with any MMA promotion.
No,
all of these people are fighting in different MMA promotions, so they're not going after one singular.
Right.
I don't understand who they're trying to grab here.
That's right, but aren't the UFC rights up in a couple of years though? Isn't ESPN and Fox kind of looking at the UFC stuff and like, do we need it? Do we not need it?
They're going to need it.
Oh, they probably will, but
it's going to be a hot ticket to have. But that being said, Masvidal, UFC, Paige Van Zandt, bare knuckle boxing.
Yes.
Junior DeSantis, Bellator. So, like, what are you pulling from here? It doesn't.
I can kind of see the point with that because with their current affiliations, it's kind of a cluster. But all of these people have name value. That's the thing. They all have name value.
Name value has to lead to something. If they're going to have a match, it's not going to look good. It's not going to work out for everybody. And I don't see the value in this whatsoever.
I'm willing to let it play out and just kind of see. I'm actually excited to see where this plays out and see where it goes, because even if it's terrible, it'll end up on the stack of bad, MMA crossover gimmicks that have happened in pro wrestling, like Tito Ortiz and Impact a few years ago, and the misbooking of Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn when they're under the same roof in WWF in '98 or so. It's like it's you could do. Well, maybe I will one day. You could do an entire video on the misbookings of MMA athletes in pro wrestling promotions, or how badly they were booked. So it's an interesting topic for sure.
So I guess this may get added to that list, and
we will wait and see. I'm willing to wait this play out. Yeah.
Next.
I'm willing to let it play out, and we'll see what happens. So, yes, exactly. So, we have another multiple man tag team match coming your way here, as the Lucha Brothers. As I try to find the graphic, I think this is this one. Yes, it is. There we go. Lucha Brothers and Santana and Ortiz taking on Private Party versus Private Party and the Butcher and the Blade. So the Hardy family office, I should say. And this match itself ran 9 minutes and 20 seconds with the Lucha Brothers and Santana and Ortiz in Warriors gear taking on or getting the victory, the W over the Hardy family office. Again, this was, let's get everybody on the card because it's AEW. We got showcase people. I find that New Japan is the best at doing this. I've been a long time fan of their 8 and 10 man tags because they give everybody equal time to work and equal time to show up. AEW, they're working on it, but it's not there yet. And the crowd being dead too didn't help. Bad. It was bad.
It was bad.
It was
very bad.
Yeah.
And by the way, for anyone who doesn't understand, it wasn't the Ultimate Warriors gear. It was from the movie.
The movie The Warriors. Yeah, the Baseball Furies.
Yeah, the Baseball Furies. They're wearing face paint and baseball jerseys.
Yeah.
But no tie back into the inner circle whatsoever for them on this round.
No.
So it was just like LAX, Puerto Rican, whatever, and Mexican luchadors against a random mix hodgepodge of heel tag team people, maybe?
Which again is, we've seen promotions in the past with stables and that stuff, and when the stable wars and that stuff aren't happening, or the gang wars aren't happening in the promotions, they still have their athletes that are involved in their stables rock the stable colors in some sort. Like Bullet Club doesn't have to be at war with chaos over in New Japan Pro Wrestling all the time, but you still see guys like El Phantasmo and Jay White and that stuff rocking Bullet Club stuff when they're in singles matches, in individual feuds and that stuff, to denote that, hey, they still are part of Bullet Club, right? And so, yeah, that's another thing too, is we would love just to see, just the inner circle guys wear something inner circle, like even like a shirt or a logo on their jersey or something like that, still denote that they're inner circle.
Yeah.
And then maybe, maybe once in a while have a stablemate run out and try to save them from a fight or something like that. Like case in point, we'll transition over to this. I can't remember when this happened in the show, but Sammy Guevara and El Fuego come out to kind of hype Sammy's TNT match on Dynamite coming up next week with the old sign gimmick, because Sammy does the signs. That's his deal. But in the middle of the sign gimmick, Miro comes out, lays out both Fuego and Sammy, and puts the game over, the old accolade, if you will, on Sammy on the ramp. Now, would love to see Jake Hagar roll out because he's supposedly the muscle and that stuff. I understand that they were laid out or whatever, but Santana and Ortiz were victorious in their match, so they should be fine. Where were they?
That's what I'm talking about. And we can mold both of these segments together because I basically fast forwarded both of them.
Okay.
Yeah. There's no cohesiveness. There's no continuity in the stories there. This is completely overbooked. It didn't need to go down like that.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. Even if you book this match as a 4-on-4 tag, it should be on Dark.
Yes.
That's where this one belonged.
Exactly. So.
Next.
Next match. Didn't get a graphic for this one because I don't think there was. This was a late addition to the card. But Penelope Ford defeats Anna Jay in 6 minutes and 45 seconds. And this is what we were talking about. Rampage, it being a 2-hour special. And a lot of these matches could easily have lived on Dark or Dark Elevation. This is one of them because that's kind of like that's the developmental stuff that they're doing. And this one here didn't move the needle for me during the match. Post-match, we got a continuation of the "Is Dark Order fine? No, it isn't" angle, where there's two specific cliques of Dark Order at this point, and Grayson and Uno decide to walk off from the group after the run-in and the save for Anna Jay. But the thing is, if what's rumored for Rochester goes through next week, that could be the big step in that angle. So I'm willing to hold out on what happens on Dynamite on Wednesday just to see what happens in conclusion with that. But it was something that didn't need to exist on Rampage. We can see that on Dark. So
nobody cares. It's the Dark freaking Order.
Yeah.
I don't care if they're in splitsies or if they are cut into threes or quarters or dissolved or fired. I don't give a shit. They're nobody. They're nothing. Next.
Next one. All right. It's main event time. It is main event time.
Oh, good Lord.
Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley taking on Minoru Suzuki and Lance Archer. This was a lights out match, which was WCW's way of back in the day saying no disqualification and no count out. There must be a winner, only pinfall and submission or knockout for the victory in that one. And it was 14 minutes and 56 seconds. The kind of thing that fell flat was Homicide coming out, because not a lot of people know this guy, unfortunately, from the mainstream. You know, you could hear a little rumble when he came out from the hardcores in the crowd because of the Brooklyn tie and maybe the Ring of Honor fans. But Homicide is a Ring of Honor legend that is basically known in Ring of Honor, but not known elsewhere. That's it. Maybe if you brought him to Impact a little bit because of the LAX thing and that stuff. But like, again, it fell flat. It just was something that just they threw out there and it went. So.
Well, okay. Kingston and Homicide put together as LAX?
Mm-hmm. No. Well, later on they were. Yes. But the very first iteration of LAX was Homicide and Hernandez.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Later on, Kingston came in to supplant Conan because Conan was pulled off of TV for a while and that stuff because of his. It was a quote unquote retirement from wrestling from him and that stuff. So they did an angle, and Kingston came in as the new manager for LAX for a while. And then they had to confuse things even more. Just prior to AEW, there was a new LAX versus old LAX feud where Kingston was managing Santana and Ortiz in Impact versus Homicide, Hernandez, and Conan. So if you can't tell your players about a program, if you're going to watch any of those matches, I suggest Googling the whole history, and you could probably read up on it and figure.
Or just keep watching AEW because they're all going to show up there anyways.
Yeah, you can do that too.
Almost there, and you're right.
Yeah,
the crowd is dead ass tired by this point.
Oh, they're burnt out. Yeah, they were not reacting at all during this thing. Yeah,
they want to go home. They had 2 pucks left in them. One was to sing Wild Thing half-heartedly.
Yeah.
And then to sing the one line of
Suzuki's theme. Yeah. Song. The Kaze Ninare.
Yeah, which half the crowd knew and the other half just like,
yeah.
And oh my God, I don't care about this match.
Yeah.
This was just so much nothing and bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right. Homicide should have come down through the ramp, had a big entrance, and let everyone know, oh shit, Homicide's here. Mm-hmm. As opposed to looking like a fan jumped the rail on the other side and helped out Jon Moxley. Oh my God.
Yeah.
What terrible main event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a way to, like, I don't know what they're doing with Moxley and Kingston. I think they're just keeping them active at this point for a potential Moxley Kingston versus Young Bucks tag tie, or no, it's the Lucha Bros that are tag team champions. I can't even remember who the tag champs are. So it's, again, that's 2 face teams going head to head there. So it's I don't know what they've got planned.
I think that Eddie Kingston's vehicle is in the shop, so he needs to depend on Jon Moxley to get him to work. So he's got to help him wrestle a little bit before he takes the shift at Home Depot.
Am I the only guy that's out there that doesn't mind Eddie Kingston on AEW TV and that stuff? Because there is a lot of hate towards that dude. I'm just
he looks sloppy. He looks poor. He looks like he's wrestling for a sandwich. And he's already eaten too many of them in the first place. But
I don't mind him.
That's fair, but I'm just telling you where this hate comes from. He don't look good. He don't look like a real fighter. He looks like the guy. He looks like the Brooklyn Brawler with a more Spanish passion to him.
Right.
There's no appeal there. Mm-hmm. He's like a poorly done Kevin Owens.
Well, they might get the real deal here in a few months, the way that this is going. So that's another storyline for another time, but we could definitely in the future, we'll be keeping an eye on that one because, man, that is like, we could talk even about it tomorrow on the WWE Extreme Rules thing. After.
Oh God, I can't believe they're gonna do that.
Sure. So this will be the highest scores coming up that you'll see from us probably for the entire weekend here. But it's time to give our rankings out of 10. I'll go first. I'm going to give AEW Dynamite on Wednesday a 7 out of 10, and I'm going to give Rampage a 4 out of 10. Just because, again, I thought that a lot of those matches on Rampage could have easily have been done on Dark and would have fit better on Dark or Dark Elevation, and that is basically my thought pattern. 7 out of 10 because you have for Dynamite is because the first 47 minutes of Dynamite were probably 47 minutes of the best televised wrestling I've seen on any brand this year, just across the board. It was tight. Production was tight. The matches were great. It was entertaining. It was can't miss. Your eyes were glued to it. And, just it had the old school kind of WCW Crockett feel to it too, which was kind of neat. And the crowd was really, really, really super hot. But, as the night went on, as you've seen, they kind of expended their energy and that stuff. And then by the end of Rampage, they were kind of lame. And I thought that the not hot crowd also hurt Rampage quite a bit too. So again, 7 out of 10 for Dynamite, 4 out of 10 for Rampage from Arthur Ashe Stadium from yours truly. Mr. TL, I have my finger on the button here for your scores. So what have you got?
Dynamite giving also a 7. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I gave him a 7 because all the same reason that you said. It deserved a 7. Is it as good as the pay-per-view? Not quite, but almost. So it lines up perfectly. I gave that a 7.5, and I'll give this a 7. Okay. Rampage being a 6.5. Now, you'd expect me to give this much, much lower for the amount of hatred I gave towards it. However, unlike, say, a Friday Night SmackDown, they didn't waste all of their time with backstage promos and stupid vignettes.
Yes.
And bullshit. Mm-hmm. They did at least put the action in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
So if it was just a TV show that I just happened to be catching, that's a 6.5. It's some mediocre but passable entertainment. Mm-hmm. So I gave it a 6.5 and didn't give it like a super stinking failure because I hated it. I appreciate that they had that venue. They tried to put on a show and keep that same crowd somehow entertained for all of it. It didn't quite go to plan. Yeah. But I see the effort was there. So it's kind of a pity 6.5, but it is what it is.
I think also another good point is they were a victim of their own success here because Rampage isn't typically a 2-hour show. It's a 1-hour show. And so they were given this week as a 2-hour special to fill. And that I don't think they were overly prepared for that. And so that's why we saw what we saw. And we saw maybe a couple of matches that could have been on Dark, or the storylines on Dark at least explain more that were, thrown out there to fill that 2 hours. But if it was a 1-hour show, I think you throw obviously Moxley, Suzuki, Archer, and that stuff. If that's your main event, that's your main event. And then you have, stay with Hobbs and Punk as your opener because that's your eyeball grabber and that stuff. And then, throw Jericho and Hager versus Man in a Year in there because you got the big American top team stuff. You'd run with those 3 matches, you're good. So,
no, well, okay, that's how you would have. That's fair.
No, that's how I would do it.
The Punk and Hobbs. Mm-hmm. I don't like the main event, but fine, put it in the end anyways. Yeah. I would have rather had Jungle Boy and Adam Cole
1-on-1. Okay.
Have that match spoiled by the Click and have Jurassic Express come by and help out.
Yeah.
So and maybe he's something to Dynamite.
Yeah, and move the 6-man to like Wednesday on Dynamite or something as the aftermath of it or something,
Yeah, or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So
that's why I would have had that formatted. Also, this is a side note. Both shows, AEW in general, they need to get somebody to fix their sound.
Yeah, the mixing was off. Yeah,
the way that they mic their audience and the way that they don't put the music through the feed of the TV itself. And it's just they're capturing the sound from a distance. It's really bizarre. You're not getting the full sound quality that you should be getting. WWE, as much as I don't like them, they're really good at it.
Mm-hmm.
Even right now, as they're using canned noise over top of real fans, they
Yes.
mix it in a way that you can hear the crowd, and the music will always come through as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they mix it so perfectly, it's never an issue until you see a show where they don't do it right.
Mm-hmm.
So AEW's got to hire somebody on their team to fix that.
Exactly. So still a work in progress, but still really cool to see them run a non-traditional type venue and get that visual of the 20,000. That was pretty neat. And so now we wait and see what other non-traditional stuff they run. So I don't think that they're football stadium ready yet, but I think that you could easily run like this was a kind of a, like I said, a non-traditional thing. Maybe there's a I don't know what else you'd run in the States. Maybe there's a baseball stadium or something like that they could look at potentially running.
Funny you mentioned that. The first thing that popped in my mind was a CFL football arena, like a smaller one, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg, or Hamilton. They look really nice, but they only hold about 30,000.
Toronto, BMO.
Yeah, like BMO.
Yeah,
exactly. If they have to do a big Canadian show, BMO would be a great facility for them.
BMO in Toronto, they could do that. They could do Montreal's got McGill Stadium as well. So I mean that's up there. That definitely be cool. Even in the States too, the smaller football, like you've seen these high school stadiums they have in Texas. Yeah, there's 20,000 seats, 30,000 seats in an NFL style stadium for a couple of high schools in Texas.
Yeah.
Go talk to one of them, and you can get 20 or 25,000 outdoors in Texas and put on a show.
Or they can just completely lose their minds and do like WCW and put a ring where it shouldn't be, and like in the middle of the Kentucky Derby, just like in the middle part of the
That'd
grass.
be cool. Yeah. That'd be kind of funny. I'm picturing like Bristol Motor Speedway where NASCAR runs. It's like it's a massively built, almost coliseum, but you could, put fans down and you could easily shrink that to like 20,000, 25,000 if you wanted to. It's an outdoor venue too, which is, great.
That would be so damn hilarious.
Yeah. Or maybe they go to the Mall of America TL and set up in the lobby.
Look, I want this to resemble less of WCW because to me that was a shit show.
Is the Great American Train Company still running in that corner store that Lex Luger walked out of all places?
All right, we've gone too long. We're not doing this. We're not doing this. We're closing.
tinyurl.com/NitroManiac TV for more. Share the video, subscribe, leave comments, subscribe. That's a big thing we're doing. You can follow TL on Twitter at TM Loughton. Follow him for hot wrestling takes and good recipes. He makes a mean burrito, which is amazing, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I do.
It was the best burrito I've had. I can't complain. Yeah. And he's got a really cool rec room that he'll, post pictures of and show you one day.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. Even though this looks like a backdrop, this is actually a real room I'm in right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a little different.
Yeah.
This is real.
That's real. Yeah. See, he's touching the face. That's not a filter. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And he's also got every known team for the Stiga Stanley Cup table hockey that exists.
I do.
Right. Yeah. Or it's our right. It'll be your left. Yeah. So that's pretty cool.
There they are. They're all hanging up. Hanging up and hanging out.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So it's great stuff. You can follow me on Instagram at Kellen Nitro, on Twitter at Kellen Nitro, and you name it, and so on and so forth. We will endeavor to be back tomorrow night post Extreme Rules, where we can really lay into some. I hope it's a good show, but man, I don't have my hopes up at all. It could be a bad show. if that's the case, then it might be for yours truly the open liquor edition of Nitro's Take Live, and maybe we'll do that. Not fishing, but anyway.
My expectation is a shitstorm, so let's see if that goes down tomorrow.
It's a show that doesn't have a set main event right now, and that's never good.
I thought the main event is Reigns and Balor.
Did they set that last night? Because
So.
I'll admit to missing the final 30 minutes of SmackDown. So
No, I think that was been set for a couple of weeks now.
okay,
Yeah.
Okay, well then, great, cool. Yeah, because the I saw the clip online of Balor doing the whole demon thing and doing the dive onto the bloodline on the ringside. That was kind of a cool visual. So that was, at least they got that for their opening, I guess. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah. All right. Well, later days. Happy wrestling watching, everybody. Whatever you do, stay safe, have fun, and we'll come to you next time here on Nitromaniac TV's Wrestling Unlimited. So do take care and check out the video as we do the Too Sweet.